Before any Hamilton fanatics pass their judgment upon me, I need to make a few things quite clear. The first thing is that this is my first exposure to the show under any circumstance. Prior to seeing the version on Disney+, I had not heard any of the music, seen any of the numbers being performed, or was aware of what the story was about beyond being a look at Alexander Hamilton's life. So yes, that means I have never seen the show performed live on a stage. And on that note, I don't claim to be an expert on musical theater either. I like musicals, and I did analyze stage production to a certain degree with a Shakespeare class I took with my wife while we were in college, but otherwise, don't count on me having the be-all end-all opinion on Lin-Manuel Miranda's work. I am just a guy who, as the name of my channel suggests, simply likes talking about entertainment. That being said, Hamilton is great! Believe me, I'm not trying to jump on the bandwagon here. For the longest time, I've been skeptical of literally everyone who saw the show and then sung its praises to high heaven. I would have to distance myself from the hype in order to have a genuine experience. That's why I never bothered with listening to the music or even looking up bootleg recordings. But yeah, now that I've seen the show put on by the original Broadway cast, I can see why everyone loves it. Hamilton is one of the most energetic stage performances I have ever seen, and I'm so grateful that something so fun, exciting, and timely was gifted to us by the mouse just in time for Independence Day last week. After all, it was supposed to go to movie theaters first. Disney's intent was to put it out in cinemas in October 2021, but as is typical with how the film industry has been impacted by the pandemic, well, plans changed. Disney decided to just release it, giving everyone yet another reason to finally subscribe to Disney Plus if they hadn't already. As much as I don't like supporting the mouse, if The Mandalorian, The Clone Wars, and a huge library of content didn't convince you, I really do think this is a huge reason for you to subscribe to the admittedly cheap service. You would think that watching such a massively hyped musical like Hamilton would not be the same as being there in person, and yeah, it obviously isn't. Being with a live audience cheering on the performers just isn't the same as streaming it at home on a device. Even so, considering how wonderfully the crew, especially the camera operators and editors, managed to translate this to the small screen, the core experience hasn't been diminished. Despite not being able to physically sit in front of actors performing Lin-Manuel Miranda's electrifying lyrics, the cinematography and editing do a perfect job at immersing you into that theater setting. The visuals always give you the information you need about the characters, story, and performances, and more importantly, in the precise moments for those beats to hit. When the ensemble's performing together on stage, the camera never loses sight of the grandeur of the choreography, nor does it forget when certain characters need their moments to shine. And of course, when a musical number reaches its show-stopping conclusion, the camera is always positioned in such a way that you really feel the power of that song's conclusion. Truly, I feel that this crew perfectly captured the non-stop energy the show is known for and makes this Disney Plus version a legitimate alternative. But of course, why talk so highly about the filmmaking when there's also the matter of the quality of the show itself? Well, I don't really see that as an issue because Hamilton is an artistic triumph no matter if you see it in a theater or on your couch. I had already been a fan of Miranda's work between seeing a production of In the Heights that my brother-in-law was a part of, and his music for Moana was one of the best aspects of what I otherwise considered to be a decent Disney movie at best. So naturally, I expected the music to at least be something special, but Hamilton is an achievement in music, dancing, and storytelling, primarily because all three of these elements work in hand. However, they are not woven together in a typical Broadway fashion. Hamilton has garnered a reputation for being much more distinctive and unconventional with its approach to musical theater. No particular thing really stands out among the others. It's not a story-driven drama that happens to have musical numbers, elaborate dance sequences don't overshadow a complex story, and neither is this some kind of operatic piece. Instead, what you get with Hamilton is a sung-through saga of energetic rap and emotional ballads, with very little pauses or opportunities to breathe. The entire story is told in this way, with the 150-minute show being presented with very subtle dance choreography, as well as extremely sophisticated music that is at odds with the colonial time period, and yet feels completely appropriate. The reason why is because the cast predominantly consists of people of color. That might seem like an odd choice since the founding fathers themselves were white, but it's a deliberate one since the story of America isn't just about the colonists from Britain. It's also the story of the generations of disenfranchised men and women who helped build up America as much as the founding fathers did. Lin-Manuel Miranda clearly had this idea in mind when he set out to write Hamilton, and it comes through with the inspired casting choices and the mise mise-en-scène. And with that, it feels right that the cast members are who they are, and that the chosen genre of music happens to be rap, since it fits for the perspective of American history that Miranda and his company wanted to share. I do recognize that this is a touchy topic though, considering everything going on in America politically. Right now, there is a major push to reconsider America's past sins with racism, and much of this discussion is framed from a presentist standpoint. But for those of you who are unaware of what I mean, the Merriam-Webster definition of presentism is an attitude toward the past dominated by present-day attitudes and experiences. In other words, it means revisiting the past with a 2020 frame of mind. Without diving into a rabbit hole of a political tangent, there's a point to which presentism is useful in reckoning with the past. If you go too far in framing history that way though, suddenly you might miss the point of why we even learn about history in the first place. But I've brought the concept up because, in the case of Hamilton, I think it really works. After all, Lin-Manuel Miranda's method of challenging a colonial way of thinking is something we all should do. Through the act of writing and producing this show, he encourages us to learn from the troubling mistakes of America's first leaders, while still respecting the legacy they left behind. It's one thing to erase history in favor of a narrative you want to tell, but it's in Hamilton's favor that it's respectfully telling the story of America and Alexander Hamilton with the intent of hoping for a future where our country can continue the fight for everyone's equality. Understand, though, that this is just my own interpretation and easily may not be the right one. Yet with that in mind, there is another blessing found in Hamilton's debut on Disney+. Historically, wealth in this country has typically been left in the hands of the white elite, and very rarely do people of other ethnicities get the chance at such prosperity. Therefore, the opportunity to see Hamilton performed live at ASU Gamage, for example, would have been blocked to many people due to a massive paywall. But now that it's on Disney+, the prospect of seeing this tremendous, poignant achievement of song and dance is financially feasible for pretty much everyone. None of the energy, emotion, and pure fun of the original show is lost in the transition to a recorded format, and the message rings more powerfully than ever before. It couldn't have arrived at a better time, and now that it's readily available for you to sit back and enjoy, you should not throw away your shot.
Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton. And there's a million things I haven't done. But just you wait, just you wait.
When he was 10, his father split, full of it, debt-ridden. 2 years later, see Alex in his mother bed, ridden, half dead, sitting in